So we're super proud today of going through this very important webinar for us. So we're going to talk about digital transformation for museums and cultural venues. So I'm pleased today to be with panelists that are very knowledgeable in the field. So I'm going to present myself. I'm Sebastien, the founder of Metrix. Metrix, we're a professional service firm and technology firm in the museum space, so in cultural venues and arts. I'm with my friend Chris Wettre. Hi, Chris.
Hi. Thanks, Sebastien. I represent SugarCRM. I'm a general manager for the Sugar product platform, so I represent and I'm responsible for that platform in the marketplace, and really proud to be here.
Great. We're also privileged to have Sabrina from, and she's a senior officer in digital engagement from McCORD Museum. Hi, Sabrina. It's okay. You'll fix that, no problem. Perfect. So a little quick introduction about Metrix. So what Metrix is a digital transformation firm. So we're first and foremost a business consulting firm. So we help different companies and organizations like museums into their digital transformation. We're enablers. So we're all about as well the change management that it needs to embrace the technology. And we're also a technological firm, so we do have the developers and the solution architects in order to enable that change. We're also experienced in the museum fields. So we've been operating in this industry for about 10 years, working with all sorts of organizations in the cultural venues, museum, arts. So we're really proud today to have this webinar. And as well, just to complete our strategy. So we're all about reaching the overarching goals of the technology. So in order to do that, it's not a magic wand. To get to the promised land, there are steps. So we're all about doing a CRM roadmap and a change roadmap to get there, in steps where we're going to make sure we're going to achieve ROI and user adoption. So our firm is from what we call the inception, the very beginning of the digital transformation, and crafting the roadmap in order to get there. And we go into smaller steps, and that's normally you see timelines here of 12, 16 weeks in order to progress and create this chain of an ecosystem of innovation. I also have Chris with me from SugarCRM, who's going to be talking about who's Sugar.
Thank you. Proud to represent Sugar here, and proud to be here with my friend Sebastien, who I've worked with and known as a friend for over 10 years. Metrix has been an outstanding partner with SugarCRM for a very long time, has accomplished a lot of great milestones for Sugar in the marketplace. And Sugar is an organization. We're about 500 people. We focus on CRM. It's in our name, SugarCRM. And customer relationship management, CRM, is increasingly a digital experience. So our role is to provide software that can handle customer relationships from when we get to know them in marketing and throughout our common customer experience when we educate and know each other. And we rely on subject matter experts like Metrix and Sebastien's team to really take our software and put it into effect. So we are a global company. We're based in Cupertino in California. And otherwise, we're represented in about 120 countries. We have about 4,500 organizations as our customers. And aside from all the accolades we put on this little bragging slide, probably the one thing we're most proud of is our NPS score. So that's our Net Promoter Score. And we gather that every time we speak to a customer, when we have a customer experience, customer service opportunity, we send a little survey that says, are you happy? Would you recommend us to any colleague? And having a 90+ NPS score represents that we're providing excellent customer service. And I think that's what we're all about here in this webinar, is ultimately we want to serve our customers in many different ways, and accomplishing scores like that should be all our goals. So we'll talk more about it, but again, thank you for having me.
Great, thank you, Chris. And We're pleased to have Sabrina present the McCORD Museums.
Hi, Sebastien. Thanks. Sorry for my mic earlier. So I'm from the McCORD Museum. So if you don't know us, we're located in downtown Montreal, and we are the Museum of Alt Montrealers. So what does it mean? Next slide, please. We are a social history museum. So we focus on Montreal, its history, but also its communities. So of course, we present a variety of exhibitions, fashion exhibition, photography exhibitions. Our permanent exhibition is Indigenous Voices of Today. We welcome contemporary artists, and we host lots of cultural activities, as you may imagine, screenings, lecture, workshops. But basically, our programming approach includes a critical and inclusive take on social history. So last fall, we're starting our special programming as written here for the centenary of the museum. So we could go ahead to the next slide if you can, Sebastien. And basically, it was the time to reflect, but also to engage with our community, our visitors, to think about the future, what it means, and also to celebrate the collections of the museums, which are renowned. Like we have, for example, I want to brag here too, like Christians, more than 2 million photographs. So it's to say the width of the history and that are contained is in these collections. And I wanted to add, talking about our collections, an extra slide. So if you can skip ahead, if you can, Sebastien. And it's our goal to give access to these collections. As we mentioned earlier, with the pandemic and everything. So of course we had to close our doors, and it was definitely time for us to open our virtual doors. So we have a new online collections platform that we launched this week, actually. We also offer an encyclopedia on Quebec fashion history, so Encyclo-Fashion QC. We also launched a blog last year to give new perspectives on history through our collection and our team members. And with our app, you can actually discover Montreal through photographs and explore like more than 115 landmarks in the city. You can follow like the guides inside the app. And here, for those who know Montreal, you can see Griffintown more than 50 years ago. So I think that sums it up. And I'll have the occasion to talk more about the McCORD later on. So thanks.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. So let's go into today's agenda. So it's a pretty busy webinar, so we'll be respectful of your time. So we'll go through it without rushing it. So we're going to talk about what's the 360-degree view of your constituents profiles, so from visitor, member, and donors. What's a customer journey, and what the digital transformation can bring to the journey of the contact you're engaging with. Events management. We're going to talk about membership process, streamline those process, the fundraising capabilities as well that you could have with the modern tools, and as well tracking ROI and different benefits. So let's jump right in with the myth number one. So Chris, please.
So for here, I think one of the things that museums deal with is that their systems are in many different systems. The data about their customers are in different systems. They might be in the ticketing system. They might be in a loyalty system. They might be in an event system. And so you're dealing with a pretty extreme case of information being in many different silos. And that's where I think a tool like our tools at SugarCRM, we can bring all that together to build kind of a full profile of the demographics of a customer, to show the visit rates, the ticketing information, the events, the loyalty, the membership that you've been able to gain from them. Consolidate all that. You might have the different systems for ticketing and other systems that you're managing, but it's useful to be able to bring the data from all those systems into one consolidated system so that you could run more organized campaigns and just have more insight about your customer and have a better relationship with your customer, because you know the full context of somebody that you're reaching out to. For some, it could be a commercial outreach where you're looking for sponsors or collaborators for different exhibitions. It's great to have a history of all those relationships over time, as well as your most loyal members, the ones who sign up for annual memberships and come to your galas and events and such year after year.
Exactly, because one thing that we come is, you know, we always go on the premise that we know who our audience are, but actually it transformed, especially for museums during the pandemic. We saw the and since the museums are reopened, there's less adults, but there's more millennials. So the audience is changing. So you're absolutely right, Chris. In order to build a 360-degree profile, you know, when not only track the visitor name and people who actually visits your museum, that is now both online and as well as physically in the museum, but as well all the contact details, the purchase history. So we're talking about the ticketing, but we're talking also the small boutique that or the boutique that the museum has, as well as the different communication preferences, and with all about today's the omni-channel experience. So we could have some, for sure, phone call, emails, social media, also go to chat, but some will engage with us through Facebook, you know, on Messenger. So there's various ways we actually engage with our visitors, members, donors, or what we call customers. But it's very important to build a 360 profile in order, you know, and all the interaction you have, the donation history, and the goal for this is to segment and create the audiences, because, you know, we all have families and local families that are potential members, the museums that will visit. You have the tourists that will come only once. So we all have different audiences. So it's really important that, you know, and not talking about all the people we interact, like the media contact and such, but it's very important to have those audiences. So we break the silos by gathering, like you mentioned, Christian, all the data into that profile and sharing the constituent information across all departments. So the foundation is not working with their data set, and then the membership, and then the visitor, and then the marketing, et cetera, et cetera. So they're all under the same tool. So and as well, you know, the membership and duplicate contact information. So I know, for example, with some of our museums, when you connect to the Wi-Fi, they ask what's your email, right? So that's something they will ask, but definitely it's either a visitor, maybe a member, even a donor, you know. So we need to reconcile that to not create a bunch of duplicate, and then when you do some electronic communication, it's a little hectic. And so Sabrina, I know we work together, but that's one of the objective of that you had as well. Is okay, can we have, you know, our people organized in a way where we know how and when and who we are engaging with, right?
Right, that was a challenge, there still is, but now we have the tools to visualize all that data. But I would go even further to what you're saying, is that you can also decide who you want to speak to, and when you decide that, you can know very specifically, like, do you want to talk to people who came once this year, twice this year, etc., etc. And it's within even the planning of like what you want to do as a communication person that it comes as important. So it's also, yeah, it's to know who you want to talk to within your own audience, and then what are your goals, like who aren't you talking to and you want to talk to. You mentioned the pandemic, for sure. Our local visitors were the only visitors we could have, so we definitely wanted to build data and on that. And you mentioned also the different services of the museum. I think it's important I think it's a reality for all of you. En tout cas, I hope that yeah, exactly, you share my reality. But all those departments, the foundation, the membership, the boutique, the admission desk, that's true that it can become a lot to deal with, and that sometimes when you want to launch a campaign or you have a good idea, it becomes hard to know what to do. And so you're right that compiling it through one tool, I think it's key to doing things better and to digital transform, like you mentioned. Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much. So let's go with myth number 2. Most museums strongly believe online engagement is crucial. On the other side of this is when you survey the museums, also 80%, 86% of museums believe that it's best engaged when visitors are at the institution itself. So yes, but so that's the fact. But we also need to talk and think in an online way to engage with our constituents. So on the customer journey, and this one is really important because we all think at the institution level we'll have a different level of engagement. True, because when you visit a museum, there's physical sensation that you have that could be difficult to reproduce online. But there's really great best practices in order to define and engage with your visitor online in a physical way to bring them to a member, to bring them to a donor. So that strategy of the full journey, visitor, member, and donor, to optimize that, it's really important. And we talked about audiences before. Different audiences will have different journey. So we need to engage in different way with those different audiences as well. And personalize the journey in a segmented audience, like we just mentioned. We also need some automation because that's where a tool like Sugar comes in play. Because doing all of this manually is impossible, right? You have so much dimension of, first you have your audience, you have the journey, you have where they are in time, how we want to engage with, you have the omni-channel experience, meaning different communication channel that you have. So you need some automation. And we also want to create incentive to attract visitor back. So and Christian, right? I know it sounds easy for you with Sugar, but definitely it's something we've
No,
done,
it's
right?
not. It's not easy. Our customers are very demanding, and I think we've all experienced during the last few years that our customers have become incredibly skilled at being online, right? Out of necessity, and you can see it in what Sabrina has done for something that is traditionally such a physical experience, like a physical experience of going into a building and experiencing the rooms and the exhibitions, and finding ways of bringing that online to their customer base in such a variety of ways, from the online exhibitions business to the blogs to the virtual tours. It's forced us all to be very creative about how we fulfill kind of our mutual needs in this situation. And we feel it every day. Our customers are asking for new ways, innovative ways of reaching out digitally to their customers, while also maintaining physical, normal human relationships, of course, but trying to do that also in ways that are dealing with the realities of what we've been through.
Excellent. So, and let's go with myth number 3. So most museums engage with customer on all platforms. So now when we actually look at the fact is few museums engage digitally with personalized content. Okay, why? Because it's difficult to do so. So we all want it, but unfortunately difficult to achieve. So however, for those who do, which is about 50% of them, so the engagement goes up by 82%. So really important. So to continue on your track, Christian, is when we engage digitally the right way, which is difficult. I'm not saying it's difficult. it's not always, if you don't have the right system, easy to do. So if you need to go left and right and compile tons of data in order to have the variables that that the system needs in order to say, okay, on which parameters we're going to personalize, that could be difficult. So we talk about the journey, right? So we continue that journey in order to engage with the audience online and offline, right? So and more when we talk about this omni-channel experience, is we're getting in touch, and when it's done with the proximity where it's really personalized, even going through SMS is something we're now doing. So someone, for example, exit the museum and say, SMS, I hope you had a good visit, and you can rate us and stuff, and go on Google and appreciate your visit, stuff like this, as well on the social. Creating the virtual experience, and we'll talk, Sabrina, I think this one is yours as well. Creating the virtual experience, something it's very, very important for you as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. Of course, we want to attract visitors as a museum, but we want to have a relationship with those visitors outside. And we want to also create brand awareness through different initiatives online. And that's where it comes in handy to be able to track all those engagements or those contact points that are virtual as well as physical. I think both sides are important, and you're talking well about it. Like, I don't know what to add. If you have a specific question, feel free to add.
That's okay, because what I like is when I work with museum is the community aspect is super important. So it's not, we also work with lots of commercial companies that are there to sell, and nothing against that. But the community side of doing a difference is very, very important. So when we're talking about crafting relationship, it's really touching me, because that's the overarching missions of the museums, right? We're there to promote to the community, our sometime on the historical futuristic, but that's the mission, right? It's to build with the community to deliver those messages. So and Christian, you experienced some as well, and see that on the technology side as well, right?
We see a kind of a common request from our customers to create the central master record for their customers, kind of related to the 360 we talked about earlier. But as new opportunities come for us to do different online platforms, one of the things they all require is good customer information. So as you onboard a new platform, that's another opportunity to have a great experience for your customer and with your customer. But it's also an opportunity to alienate your customer if you seem ignorant of who they are, or if you're not making it personal enough. So as you're adding new platforms to the customer journey and your customer relationship, having a place where you need to connect that new platform to that has good information, and you can make it as personalized as you want to. That's what we see our customers are demanding, not only in nonprofits, but also in commercial relationships. And people expect the experience they've had by going to online stores like Amazon, that whether you like it or not, they know so much about you, what your preferences are and what you've purchased in the past, and they use it very actively. And while sometimes that gets a little creepy, you come to expect it as well. It becomes the standard of professional online presences. And that means when they come to you in whatever your business is, they come to expect some level of that. And they would respect you for having it. And that's why kind of a central depository, the 360, the one place that when you put a new platform together, you go to and get accurate information, really, really impactful.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So let's go on myth number 4. So museum fully track ROI of offline and online events. So here's the fact. So there's some study that's been conducted that says that about 55% of event professionals answer that they're not able to measure the success of those events well enough. So that's really important, because as we all know, measuring not necessarily the return on investment, but was the impact of those events. It's very important to reconduct and learn from what we've done good or not good from those events. So when we talk about event management, so first there's the logistic aspect of organizing an event. So they're all, and McCORD Museum is a great example. There's different types of event, as we all know. There's the corporate event, the academic event, family, etc. We also have sometimes classroom that will come from the schools and visitors. So the logistics is somehow complex, as we all know. So making it easy to manage is really important. And we all know the inside out of invitee RSVP, the sponsorship we can get for the event, tracking the event, the list of invitee to those events, and as well, you know, allergies, and if there's a meal, and you know where they're going to sit at the table, and that. So all that is really important to be. And there's great system that does it, including Sugar. You know, creating personalized benefits for the members. So if they attend some events, for example, they could get some rebate, or even if it's a VIP event for member only, if it's a pre-exhibition opening, for example. So we also want to segment events by type, and we all do events for donor. We also do fundraising events. Right, so that's something that's very, very important in the event management. So and what we're saying here is, in order to first, you know, if you have a good system, there's a lot of manual work that go into organizing an event, so you can prevent that and free up the resources to actually do more event and more targeted event. So that's one of the takeaway we want to mention here. And Sabrina, it's a good example as well. The McCORD, you know, the way, and you know, to get to do an event before you having you know, a system where it's unified. It's kind of complex and takes lots of you know, human resources and time to do so, right?
Yes, of course, to plan, or just to know, like, do you need one mic, two mics, etc., etc. Like, there's so many things happening at the same time to also plan it well, and so the event goes well for our users as well, our visitors. And you mentioned the fundraisings, but also RSVPs, like, for example, if I'm thinking about vernissage or events like that, where you really want to give a good taste of those VIPs in your customer base, of like what it is to come at the museum, you want to be able to ask them afterwards, like, what did they think about the events, and all of that in one system makes it possible, for sure, and it saves us time, for sure, but also you can know, like, real time your RSVP list, and if you're not sure if someone received the invitation, you could check. All of that makes it easy for us as humans to do our job, or a part of it, because it's not the only part, right? But it's important. So I concur. Like, I think it's a tool that has this potential, and it's still new for us, so we're still learning. But yes, definitely very interesting.
I think also, you know, return on investment, where you started, Sebastien, is really important, and it's an area where an organization like ours and Solution Metrix, where we kind of straddle both the commercial and the nonprofit worlds, we have a lot to contribute, because we have a lot of experience with those things in the commercial space, and I do think, you know, nonprofits have some things to learn from that. It's a different space, it's a different atmosphere, but still, none of us have enough money and funds to do all the things and fulfill all the ideas that we wish to do, that we think are great ideas, and we'd be stupid if we didn't do them, but they take money. And in order to prioritize your ideas and get them done, you have to be able to have a reputation of proving what happens with those ideas, the return on investment, whether they're monetary or some other result. Having methods in place and a discipline in place to proving that investments and your donor funds are being well spent is a very healthy thing for every type of organization, nonprofit and commercial alike.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. So let's go with myth number 5. Most museums have a good handle on membership renewal and donors or donorship follow-up. So here's the fact. So a study, there's been a museum hack that done a study that the renewal rate is between 50 and 80% on the membership. So, and just to mention that, you know, at 50% within, you know, 3-4 years, you have a complete churn of your actual membership base. So it's not good stats. And what we've been experiencing is we're going above 80 when it's a personalized engagement. So we'll get into those details, but first you need the basic, right? So keep track of the member information. That's a basic. So we also want to for sure create, you know, the reminders for the renewal or events and the engagement with the membership and the members. You know, mailing list and invitation. That's I would say the logistic part of maintaining membership. But what's important is to track the member attendance and participations. So someone who's becoming a member of the museum and doesn't use his membership is at risk. So to identify those and have a special track for those to say, okay, those member, you know, it's been a couple months, we haven't seen them and they are not coming to website. They are not opening our emails. They are not engaging with us on social media. So we need to put some automation in place. And automation could be, needs to be 100% online, but someone needs to have a phone to do a phone call that's going to be placed to this member to make sure he's still happy with the music or is still happy with his membership experience. So there are some triggers that can be put in place that monitor the use of the membership to ensure we're going to have a high renewal rate. As well, we mentioned earlier, we have this journey of bringing a visitor to a member. So that's also a very, very important thing that needs to be there. And part of the digital transformation compared to what was traditionally before, let's say 10, 12 years ago, the data points that we have on our member are lead to be able to and to be able to get them as indicator of is it going to be a renewal, yes or no. So when you transform this data into information in predictive, that's really, really, really powerful, and it helps as well on the visitor side who's, you know, in a prediction way could be a good member. It helps a lot, and even go for some period above 100% of renewal, meaning a member will renew and bring more people with him in his membership. And I think, Sabrina, that's something you've seen as well at McCORD museums, right?
Yes, we've bring on automation web nurtures to push some specific content to members, or just hear what they have to say through surveys. Or we also want to maintain this engagement that you guys talked about earlier, and whether it's by phone or by email, it really helps having that automation system within the journey of the customer. And I think that's what they expect as well. They don't expect to come and then to be forgotten about. So it helps not dedicating so much personal time, resources, but the relationship is still going on. And I think that's really a game changer for us. And we're seeing already the results. You talked about membership renewal. We can try a campaign and see right away if there is conversion, and we can adapt, we can change maybe the image, maybe we go to the phone next level, etc. So it empowers us to to keep the loyalty of those customers, but also to know what they want. And maybe if some things, maybe if they didn't come this year, it's because of the programming, or maybe they didn't receive the newsletters or what else. So it helps us to listen. And I think that's also what we want to do as museums, is to listen to the needs of our public, our audiences.
Perfect. Perfect. And Chris, you've seen that on, that's part of the technology, what it allows as well, right? So those, freeing up the resources of managing lists left and right?
It's another area where, many times different industries can learn from each other, right? Whether you're commercial or nonprofit. And I think, in our industry, just the industry SugarCRM is, and we are in subscription software. So renewals are important to us, and we know that if we show up at the annual renewal time and ask for your renewal, and without having had engagement, our chances aren't so very good. And our metrics to ourselves is if we fall below 90% net retention rate, it's usually viewed as very bad for our business. So as Sebastien said, our goal is to have over 100 net retention rate. That means we retain our customers and expand their relationships with them. That is what a commercial business is expecting from theirs. And while that might not be all, that's not what you're there for. We're kind of hardcore commercial. That's not your mission. But still, some of your elements need to have funding and learning from some of those concepts and doing it right and focusing on the engagement, so that when the renewal comes around, it's clearly something that your customer would prioritize their limited funds to continue supporting.
Absolutely. And when we talk about supporting as well, the fundraising capabilities are really important. So, because we're talking about the journey of bringing members to donors, so the different donation levels and the loyalty progress as well. Because sometimes someone who has been a member for a long time, as we know, will or is more prospect to become a donor as well. The targeting the right people for campaigns and events as well, fundraising mindset, and tailor the experience for corporate donors as well. So creating not only events, but as the Reserve Online, for example, having those special VIP for important donors or corporate donors. Let's get to myth number 6. Most museums are able to see ROI if they of their action and optimize for more personalized and relevant communication. So that's now, if we go to the fact, most museums still adhere to traditional marketing, and that's okay. I mean, we're not against it, but tracking the ROI of the online marketing activities is a little difficult. This means they are not utilizing the digital tools and automation to better connect and personalize content for their consumer. So an important piece here, and we said it, and Christian, your example is good. If you're not engaging, at the level you should do with the member, visitor, and donor, the chances of having success in renewal, for example, is diminished. So when we say tracking ROI and customer experience, what this means is improving the visitor experience. So you talked earlier about the NPS score you're doing, but as well to identify and track your audiences, so you know exactly who has came and why and not. So you can put forward some new measures and what we're calling doing this ecosystem of innovation, which allows you to do things a little differently and hopefully better than some of your peers are doing. Segment your audience to tailor your communication. And as well, Sabrina, you mentioned a word earlier, nurture, right? So nurture, for those who are not aware of what this is when we talk about the journey, we want to craft what the journey should be in order to deliver extraordinary customer experience. So nurture goes with the journey on saying, okay, what are the communication points and how can we nurture the relationship in both online and offline way in order to track the data and different criteria in order to do this segmentation. So that's how it goes. So you have the best journey you want to, and then you have the nurture that goes with that journey, so you can track the different data points. And the nurture are intelligent. So for example, if I'm not responding to that type of email, I will branch the nurture. So you can foresee this, this diagram with branches of the nurture. So, but tracking this data is important. And for the customer experience and for the different ROI as well. So design target and targeting marketing campaigns. So track intent and behavior to target members with specific offers and benefits. So that tracking the intent is super important. And for sure, track how often member visit to measure the level of engagement. So, and we said it earlier, so if the member is not using his membership, that's either online, offline, or some of their benefits, they're not likely to renew. And Sabrina, I know we worked quite not hard, but a long time on not long, but to this part was really important for you.
Yes, of course. You mean to accompany us through those nurturing and tracking?
Exactly.
For sure. Like knowing which data to track. Like, of course, we can't decide ourselves, if we haven't been tracking it before. So that's where the relationships between you and us was really helpful to the communication and marketing team, for sure. The nurtures you were talking about, I wasn't even dreaming of doing it like in a few months, and it's really possible. It's simple and it's efficient, and we could always bounce and improve as well. That's also what I like about digital, because you talked about traditional marketing, but that's the beauty of digital as well, is to change and adjust whether your programming change or whether your campaign doesn't work. And we've been talking a lot about members, but honestly, how to become a member, like the point is already like this is important as well. The members we already have, but the members we want. And that's also a way, like automation is also a way. If you track, if a person doesn't know maybe that we have memberships and it comes 3 times a year and this person is not a member, then why? That's interesting. So that's also something that digital tracking can help with. Specifically for marketing campaigns, for sure, as you mentioned, we always keep print or like posters in the streets in the marketing mix, but that's the tracking of what we're doing or what we want to do may help us to decide also maybe putting more money into digital campaigns or less money into print, or try or an amount of funds to try maybe new creative digital campaigns. I think all of that like is really interesting as a marketer, and as a marketer for museums, where the audience is unlimited. So we have to go step by step and track everything, and then come back to it and analyze. So I think we're doing that. I'm talking for my team here, but I hope so. I hope that in a year we could actually come back with results and be like, wow, we improved by whatever percentage, this or that. I'm really, trustful for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, that's what we've seen as well is because most of the time when we engage with the organization, that there's no lack of data. It's just there's so much data that it's difficult to transform this data into information and into important leading indicator that at a glance I can look at and say, okay, how can I be intelligent with this data? So for example, we're saying it since the beginning of this webinar, is a member that's not visiting the museums, right? So can my platform be intelligent enough to say, okay, after 3-4 months, your member, I've not engaged with you, nor by email, by phone, no visit, no websites visit, etc. So this is when the data become intelligent And this is, how we can increase our customer experience, because we'll learn from that, and we'll put new measure when you have the tool to do the automation piece. This is when, boom, the magic happens.
That's
Chris,
exactly
I
right.
know exactly. Yeah, I know you're smiling because this, right? This is what we're doing, right?
I'm smiling because, like, you're saying there's no lack of data, but there's also no lack of emails in your customers' inboxes, right? So, so the data gives us an opportunity to be relevant. It gives them an opportunity to relevant and stand out in our reputation as a sender. We send you relevant information. We don't send you necessarily the cookie cutter blast information every month or every week that everybody else gets, right? We target it to your interests. We might even adapt the individual emails in the campaign to reflect your interests, right? So make the topics of the email, the content of the email, dynamic to your specific interests, right? By doing that, we stand out from the crowd. We will increase our open rates for our email because we'll be known as providing value in our email, something that speaks to our interests, and that's our opportunity. And that goes back again to having the 360 platform of knowing things about your customer, connecting email systems to that, and using that as the source of how you segment your data, like Sebastien you talked about earlier. That gives us the opportunity to create relevant emails that is reactive to the actual needs of your customers, and will increase our ability to communicate effectively, get engagement, get renewals, get visitors, and serve our public.
Absolutely. We're same page, and this is how it results into a more CRM approach. So, and what solution would be? And first, important to mention here that in the upcoming, I think it's 18 months, and this stats is pretty recent. So people will catch up in the museum visits that they haven't done, or cultural venues they haven't visited. So it will increase by 19% over the course of the next 2 years. So there will be an increase compared to pre-pandemic. And we're all listening to the news with inflation and potentially a recession. And historically, museums are doing very, very well in recession time, because that's a good, compared to other places to go, it's relatively affordable to go to a museum while having an extraordinary experience. So the upcoming years are really good for the industry. So when we talk about, and maybe that time flies by, it's only 6 minutes left, but the benefits are improved visitor experience. Very important. So not only when you walk into the museum, but the experience around that. A streamlined operational process. So when you have a platform that allows you to do more with less, this is extraordinary, and this is where we can focus normally on what's important and not urgent. So the important, not urgent is often what we should do, but we don't have the time to do. We boost the profitability as well, so the ROI are there on the different initiatives we're doing. And there's an increased productivity on all departments. And this is what the magic that happened when you connect and you build this 360-degree view. And that's what you mentioned. I think what first intervention you did is to bring that connectivity and the tool to support those initiatives. So and if we go into Sophia, which is the solution that based on, so SugarCRM has a vertical for museums that does what we talked about today. So we're talking about ticketing system. So it's not the ticketing system, but bring in the information from the ticketing system, both the POS and the e-commerce. If you're selling online, physically the point of sales at the museums, online as well. event management, the boutique or the shop integration, either on the e-commerce as well for the online boutique and the POS, donation and donors management, project management and exposition. So we talked about this. Some community management as well. So thought leadership, influencer, the media contact and everyone related in your using ecosystem. And for sure, last and not least, we talked about it. And today in the communication and marketing, the automation around it and the way to be really pertinent to increase the engagement level by having the good dimension of variables that allows you to personalize those communication, this engagement in an omni-channel environment. So that's really, you know, what's done and what is important as well for using. So, and Sabrina, maybe you can go with or talk about a bit the benefits of having all this information under one system, right?
Yeah, what I would add is that maybe it seems scary or it seems big to move through digital labyrinth of tools and everything, but step by step is possible. And when you get along, you create small objectives, and then you go ahead, and it's only beneficial for you, for your teams within the organization, because we didn't talk about that, but I think everybody is grateful within the organization to also have this tool now that empowers them to make maybe clever decisions on their daily basis, like their daily interaction with our customers. But yeah, I think we covered a lot. Like, I don't know if the audience has questions, but I'm reachable by LinkedIn as well. If any other museums wants to know about my experience or else, I would be happy to continue the demystifying.
Absolutely. I hope it helps. So we have 2 minutes for questions. So please feel free to use the chat if you have any question. We'll take the time to answer. And maybe Christian, any final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think, you know, like in terms of value, you know, one of the things we try to bring a value is to bring somewhat sophisticated tools to fairly small marketing organizations. You know, typically museums will have smaller marketing organizations, but have these demands of doing relatively sophisticated things and engaging with digital platforms and online and doing all these things. So our mission is to give you the tools to get a lot done with relatively few resources, and maybe not all the technical resources you wish for, you know, and that's where, you know, teams like Sebastien's team at Solutions Metrix are kind of outsourced for some of the specialized technical things you need, but otherwise on a day-to-day basis, you could run a pretty sophisticated marketing and sales operation with relatively few people and conserving your institution's resources.
Perfect. So thank you. We have many questions along the process of migrating data from one database to a CRM normally takes. And that's a tricky question. So, and I always say the migration process, it's easy. It's all the cleaning of the data that can be long. Now there's lots of tactics in order to do that. So Sabrina, if I'm not mistaken, we migrate 3 or 4 systems into one. So so we leverage a couple tools in order to do that. And there's, like I said, approaches other than exporting everything in Excel and manually correct the data, because that's the thing we don't want to do. So we use different, so we even use some AI and some algorithm in order to do so. So Sabrina, it took, you know, we worked in parallel while working other stuff, but I think we've done it in a month or so, bringing all the data and crunching this data into one database.
Already, of course, it needed like lists need cleaning, so we also prioritized. Maybe it's not 100% of our database, but like we went progressively. But yes, it's a question of weeks, and in parallel, it gave us the time also to learn the tool and to. So it's been productive.
Yeah.
But it depends, I guess, on the number of contacts also, I can imagine.
Great.
Yeah.
So we're having another question. So we are confirming that this is a SaaS, so it's not something installed on a server. So in order to do that, and you go on a cloud solution. So the solution is on the cloud, so there's no hosting per se that needs to be done, and no update as well, because we're interacting with Facebook Messenger and emails and website and stuff. Those, you know, the Facebook update 10 times a week, so you don't have to maintain all of this. It's done for you. So you're really an application person that leverage the power of the application. You don't have to maintain it and upgrade it or do the backups or anything of that nature. So we have another question. It's 2:01. I'm really respective of, and I see people start logging off. So I want to thanks everyone. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Sabrina, for being there today. There's a recording of this webinar. We'll share as well as all the answers to the question of today's webinar. So in conclusion, thank you everyone for being there, and look forward for having an invitation for another one, another thing we're going to do from using Zoom. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
See you, Sabrina. See you, Sebastien.
Thank you.